Hello everyone, welcome to our YouTube channel F1 Racing. From insightful interviews and behind-the-scenes looks to exclusive footage and gameplays, there's something for everyone here. So, sit back, relax, and join us in this incredible journey. It is sure to be a wild ride. Thanks for being part of the family, so let's go. The Red Bull team's chief, Christian Horner, made a shocking announcement about Daniel Ricciardo's return to the team. He was critical of the habits Ricciardo had picked up from his time at McLaren and said that they were not the same as when he left Red Bull 3 or 4 years ago. Ricciardo had plenty of time to reset before joining the team, and when he did, Horner said that Ricciardo had hit the ground running and was back to being more reminiscent of the driver who had left. The team was hoping for a successful return for Ricciardo, both in terms of his contributions to the team as well as to the drivers and the fans. The outcome of Ricciardo's return to Red Bull remains to be seen, but the initial announcement was certainly a shock. Daniel Ricciardo is a professional Formula 1 racing driver from Australia. He started his career with the Toro Rosso team in 2012 and moved to Red Bull Racing in 2014, where he won 3 races. In 2019, he left Red Bull for the Renault F1 team, but after 2 years with the French manufacturer, he returned to McLaren in 2021, now driving in a reserve capacity in Red Bull for 2023. He has achieved 32 podium finishes and 8 fastest laps during his time in Formula 1, and is known for being one of the more entertaining drivers on the grid. Ricciardo is seen as a fan favorite with his enthusiastic personality and enthusiasm on and off the track, which endears him to fans worldwide. Christian Horner has heaped praise on Daniel Ricciardo for the positive energy he brings to the team and for his hard work in the simulator. According to Horner, Ricciardo is doing a great job of getting back into Red Bull mode after some time away from the team and has been working hard in the virtual world to make sure he is ready for when he gets the chance to get behind the wheel of a Red Bull car. Horner also believes that Ricciardo's enthusiasm and ambition will be beneficial to the entire team, from drivers to engineers and all other staff involved in the team. The team's chief is optimistic about what Ricciardo can bring to the team and is excited to see what he can do when given a chance in an actual car. It remains to be seen what will happen once Ricciardo gets behind the wheel of a Red Bull car, but with Horner's praise for Ricciardo and his enthusiasm for racing, it looks like the Aussie could have a bright future with the team. Daniel Ricciardo's return to Red Bull was not the same as the one that left. After leaving Red Bull for Renault ahead of the 2019 season, and then joining McLaren where victory in the 2021 Italian Grand Prix punctuated an otherwise underwhelming period, Ricciardo rejoined Red Bull in a reserve capacity for the current campaign. The Red Bull team's chief Christian Horner was critical of the habits that Ricciardo had picked up from his time with McLaren, saying that they didn't recognize as the Daniel that had left us 3 or 4 years earlier. With the team's confirmation of his reunion at the end of November, they have worked hard on resetting Ricciardo, giving him time off over Christmas and a chance to reset. Horner has said since then that Ricciardo is getting back to being far more reminiscent of the Daniel that we knew, but further testing and validation of his habits and abilities with Red Bull are needed to truly determine the outcome of his return. Sky F1 pundit Ted Kravitz's assessment of Ricciardo was that he was not happy to be watching from the pits and hated it. He commented on how Ricciardo had been a long-time Formula 1 driver, but this season has seen him take a step away from being in the driver's seat. Although he is still involved in the sport, he misses life as a full-time Formula 1 driver. Kravitz also stated that there may be a chance for Ricciardo to make a return at some point, but it would likely not be until 2024 when his current contract expires. This has been confirmed by Ricciardo himself, with the Australian racer admitting that he would welcome a chance to make a return to the sport in the future. However, he is still content with his current situation. Kravitz can see Ricciardo's talent and believes if given the right opportunity, he could once again start scoring podiums. Ricciardo himself has confirmed that he still misses the life of being a full-time Formula 1 driver, but he is also happy with his current situation. He stated that while it can be tough to watch from the pits and not be able to compete, he is still content with where he stands currently and remains hopeful for the future. Ricciardo has also admitted that the last 2 years at McLaren have been difficult, and he needs to remain realistic about his future endeavors if he wishes to continue racing in Formula 1. He is conscious of the fact that a year off may help him reevaluate and know what he wants to do moving forward, which would be an attractive proposition for any team in the future. Despite his current hurt, Ricciardo is still determined to remain sharp and seize whatever opportunities come his way. Kravitz's statement of chances for Ricciardo to make a return to Formula 1 in 2024 is still very much a possibility. Although the Australian had been on a bad roll since his departure from Red Bull back at the end of 2018, it seems as though he still has enough talent and resolve to make an impressive comeback. While Ricciardo himself has stated that he misses the life of a full-time Formula One driver and is happy with his current situation, Christian Horner, Red Bull's chief, opened up on the possibility of having Ricciardo as a starting driver in 2024. This could be an opportunity for him to gain back his confidence and prove himself to skeptics who doubt his ability to perform for a top-performing team. Only time will tell whether or not Ricciardo can make his much-awaited comeback in 2024. Kravitz's statement about chances for Ricciardo to make a return in 2024 is an interesting one. While the current situation might not be ideal, his chances of making a comeback remain very much alive. Ricciardo himself has confirmed that he still misses the life of being a full-time Formula One driver, and while his form may not be suitable for a top competitive team, he still has the potential to make an impact. This highlights the importance of holding on to hope, despite difficult times, and making sure that Ricciardo is always ready to seize any opportunity that comes his way. While Ricciardo may have been let down in the past, he still has a chance to prove himself as one of Formula One's greats. Since 2019, Ricciardo's performance has been steadily declining, and it is becoming more and more apparent that he may not be a suitable driver for a top-performing team. Over the past 2 years with McLaren, Ricciardo had numerous bad races, which caused him to drop down in the standings. Furthermore, his current stint as a reserve driver for Red Bull has not been fruitful either, further highlighting his decline in skill over the years. This, combined with him taking a year off from racing, has caused some serious doubts as to whether Ricciardo would be able to compete at the same level that he once did. As of now, it is certainly uncertain if Ricciardo can make a return to the top teams and prove that he still has what it takes. Gunther Steiner, the Haas chief, recently commented that it is a bit too early to talk about possibly having Daniel Ricciardo as their starting driver in 2024. He stated that he needs to give their two current drivers, Magnussen and Hülkenberg, a chance before even considering other opportunities. However, despite this, he did not completely close the doors on a possible Ricciardo signing and said that everyone is interested in speaking with him after his year off. All of this makes sense considering Ricciardo was part of a reserve driver program for the past year and had 2 bad years with McLaren before that. With his form being questioned and the potential to get a better driver, Red Bull is taking the necessary precautions before making any decisions on signing him for their team. At the same time, Ricciardo is also keeping himself up to date and in tune with potential opportunities that may come his way. This makes one wonder what the future holds for Ricciardo in Formula One and if he will be able to make a return in the sport. Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hülkenberg are currently holding the driver's seats at Haas, with Gunther Steiner having rejected the idea of signing Daniel Ricciardo due to his high salary demands. This decision has been met with mixed reactions from fans, as many had expected Ricciardo to return to Formula One in a top team. Despite the potential of Ricciardo joining the team, Gunther Steiner has decided to maintain the current lineup and resist signing Ricciardo. This decision is further backed up by Alfa Romeo's plan to replace Andrea Seidel with Guan Yu Zhu for 2024, as Red Bull will no longer be a sponsor. Therefore, it appears that Ricciardo will have to look elsewhere for a regular spot on the grid. Teams such as IndyCar or World Endurance Championship are potential options, though it remains to be seen what Ricciardo decides to do. As his main focus is to recharge and come back with purpose, it could be a while before we see him back on track. In the meantime, Ricciardo is acting as Red Bull's marketing machine in his current capacity. Fans have taken to social media to express their opinion on what team would be best suited for Ricciardo if he decides to race again next year. Ultimately, it will be up to Ricciardo himself to decide what the future holds for him. Regardless, his presence in Formula One will be dearly missed. Hülkenberg's signing with Haas before the start of the 2023 season demonstrates their commitment to finding a driver who will make the team competitive in the long run. The German driver has a wealth of experience, having raced in Formula One for several years prior. His proven track record and technical knowledge makes him an attractive proposition for Haas, as they hope to improve their results in the coming seasons. The signing of Hülkenberg also sends a message to their current drivers, as Haas is clearly looking for someone who can deliver consistent results and bring the team further up the grid. With this knowledge in mind, Ricciardo will be aware that he needs to prove himself if he wants to join Haas and take advantage of the chance to return to Formula One. Gunther Steiner, team principal of Haas F1, has been heavily criticized for his treatment of Michael Schumacher's son, Mick Schumacher, while he was at the helm of the team. During Mick's time with Haas in 2021, Steiner publicly called out the young driver on multiple occasions and made it clear that he didn't hesitate to make decisions that might harm Mick's career. Although Steiner argued that he was simply trying to bring out the best in a young driver, many felt that his comments were disrespectful and unwarranted. His actions sparked outrage among Schumacher fans and ultimately led to him being removed as team principal after the end of the 2021 season. It is unclear whether or not Steiner's treatment of Mick will affect Haas's decision to sign another driver in 2024, but it is definitely something that should be taken into consideration. Overall, Steiner has been widely criticized for his handling of this situation, and many don't believe he should ever work with a young driver again. Ricciardo is currently still hurt from the way he was treated at McLaren. He has had 2 bad years with them and a year as a reserve driver. His form may not have been suitable for a top-performing team, and this could have taken a toll on how he drove a Formula One car, not to mention his confidence. Günther Steiner opened up on possibly having Ricciardo as a starting driver in 2024, but he was realistic about the situation, saying that it is too early to speak about a possible driver change for next year. It's clear that this has not been an easy journey for Ricciardo, and although he is happy with his current situation, he would still like to be back in the driver's seat and make an impact on the track. One of the possibilities for Daniel Ricciardo is to replace Sergio Perez if he reignites his feud with Max Verstappen. This could be a good move for Red Bull, as Ricciardo has experience and skill that can be used to drive their car. However, this wouldn't be a sure thing, since there are other teams in Formula One that could be interested in signing him. The other possibility is for Ricciardo to join the Haas team if they don't perform well in 2023. This could be a good fit for Ricciardo, since he knows how to handle a car on light racing circuits and he understands the pressure of driving for a low-performing team. It would also give him the chance to prove that he still has what it takes to compete in Formula One, despite his time off at Red Bull and 2 bad years at McLaren. Ultimately, it will be up to Ricciardo to decide where his driving career will go next. The possibilities for Ricciardo in Formula One are varied depending on his own performance and the various team situations. If Red Bull's current driver Perez causes too much drama, then they might opt to replace him with Danny. While if Haas is struggling, he could also find an opportunity there in 2024. Regardless of where he ends up, it will be fascinating to see if Danny can reclaim some of the success he had in the past. At the end of the day, it's up to him to prove his worth on track and make a name for himself once again. So what do you think? Will Ricciardo be able to show his worth on the circuit in the upcoming races, or will it be a good option for him to join Haas in the future? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell notification to keep up with all our latest videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.